A person who lives in harmony with the natural order of the universe fears only one thing, the loss of their moral integrity. In contrast to the usual human concerns pain, death, poverty, and the inevitable trials of human existence, this individual has learned that these external forces are temporary and largely beyond our control. What they truly fear is falling short of their potential as a human being, not living up to their ideals, and failing to cultivate virtue and wisdom. This fear stems not from external dangers, but from an internal, spiritual loss, the betrayal of one's own highest self. In this worldview, challenges like physical pain, the loss of wealth, or the uncertainty of death are seen not as threats to the self, but as opportunities for growth, resilience, and understanding. The loss of one's integrity, however, is a fear that cannot be easily overcome, for it represents the erosion of one's true essence, the failure to remain anchored in the principles that guide a meaningful life. This perspective is epitomized by the Roman philosopher and emperor Marcus Aurelius, one of the central figures of Stoic philosophy. His writings, particularly in Meditations, offer profound insights into living a life guided by reason, virtue, and purpose. While the idea of being a great person might appear abstract or distant to some, Marcus Aurelius stands as a remarkable example of this ideal. Few in history have embodied the principles of Stoicism, self-discipline, integrity, and the pursuit of virtue more fully than Marcus Aurelius. This philosophical ideal can offer guidance in our own time, whether in the context of personal development, leadership, or navigating the complexities of modern life. The life of Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius ruled as the Roman emperor from 161 AD until his death in 180 AD, during a period of relative peace and prosperity known as the Pax Romana. This era of stability marked the height of Roman power, a time when the empire thrived under wise leadership. However, the end of his reign also signaled the end of this period of peace, ushering in more tumultuous times for Rome. Marcus, as the last of the so-called five good emperors, was instrumental in maintaining this stability. Unlike many rulers, who may have been consumed by the allure of power, wealth, and hedonistic pleasures, Marcus Aurelius chose a different path. He was acutely aware of the responsibility that came with his extraordinary position. In a world where many emperors indulged in excess and luxury, Marcus's reign was characterized by restraint, discipline, and a constant pursuit of moral clarity. His leadership was guided not by the desire for fame or recognition but by a genuine commitment to the public good and the preservation of his personal virtue. He chose self-control, even though his position provided him with nearly unlimited access to indulgence and excess. The great challenge Marcus faced was the temptation to exploit his power for personal gain. He had access to wealth, status, and privileges that would have been unimaginable to ordinary people. But throughout his reign, he kept these temptations at bay. His personal discipline and commitment to Stoic ideals, such as self-restraint and moral uprightness, allowed him to remain grounded in his mission to serve the Roman people. Even as emperor, he managed to adhere to a simple, virtuous lifestyle. The personal writings left behind by Marcus Aurelius, which came to be known as Meditations, were not intended for public consumption. They were a series of private reflections, notes to himself, reminders to stay true to his philosophical commitments. In these writings, we witness a man constantly striving to live a life of virtue and purpose, even when faced with immense pressures. The depth of his thoughts provides a blueprint for anyone wishing to cultivate integrity and resilience in a world that often pulls one in different directions. Living in accordance with nature. For Marcus Aurelius, the concept of living in accordance with nature was central to his Stoic philosophy. To live in accordance with nature meant to align oneself with the rational order of the universe, the intrinsic laws that govern existence. He viewed nature not just as a physical world, but as a force of reason, order, and interconnection. Just as the natural world follows its own course, trees grow tall, rivers flow, and animals thrive, human beings, too, have a unique potential to fulfill. Humans, Marcus believed, are inherently capable of achieving greatness. This greatness is not measured by material success, fame, or power, but by the cultivation of virtues such as wisdom, kindness, courage, and justice. A person who lives in accordance with nature is someone who is fulfilling their true potential, not simply conforming to societal expectations or external rewards. They act with purpose and clarity, striving to align their behavior with the rational order of the universe. The Stoic view of nature suggests that fulfillment and peace come from within, not from external possessions or circumstances. In today's world, where success is often measured by wealth, status, and outward appearances, the teachings of Marcus Aurelius remind us that true success lies in inner virtue. It is about developing a character that reflects the highest human ideals: compassion, wisdom, and moral courage. Navigating relationships with others. While it's easy to assume that a life focused on self-discipline and virtue might result in an isolated, individualistic existence, Marcus Aurelius's philosophy was rooted in an understanding of human interconnectedness. Life, for him, is not just about personal fulfillment, it is about how we relate to others. He recognized that everyone has flaws, and no one is free from mistakes or ignorance. Rather than becoming frustrated or bitter with others' imperfections, Marcus suggested that we should practice patience and understanding. If others act wrongly or harmfully, it is not always out of malice but out of ignorance of what is truly good. Every person is doing their best within the context of their understanding of the world. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself of this fact, using it as a means to foster compassion rather than resentment. In his view, life is a cooperative enterprise, and humans are interdependent beings. Just as the elements of nature work together in harmony, so too should humans serve one another. Instead of seeing difficult people or challenging relationships as obstacles, Marcus Aurelius approached them as opportunities for growth and moral development. The ability to practice empathy, to treat others with kindness even when they are acting against us, is a hallmark of the Stoic sage. It is only through recognizing the shared human condition that we can overcome bitterness and cultivate compassion. Facing adversity. Adversity is an inescapable aspect of the human experience. No one is immune to hardship, whether it is in the form of physical pain, loss, failure, or the trials of everyday life. Marcus Aurelius accepted this as an essential truth, recognizing that adversity is not something to be feared but something to be embraced. For a Stoic, the proper response to adversity is not complaint or despair, but acceptance and resilience. Life is unpredictable, and external events often occur that are beyond our control. What we can control, however, is our response to these events. By cultivating resilience, courage, and fortitude, we can maintain our moral integrity and remain true to our principles, even in the face of hardship. Marcus Aurelius saw every challenge as an opportunity to demonstrate virtue, to grow stronger, and to reaffirm his commitment to the Stoic way of life. When faced with challenges, it is easy to succumb to frustration, anger, or hopelessness. But for Marcus, each difficulty was a chance to practice the very virtues that define a Stoic: patience, discipline, and the ability to endure. Instead of running from discomfort or seeking to avoid pain, Marcus embraced these challenges as essential elements of the human experience. In doing so, he became a model of strength and resilience, not because he was immune to suffering, but because he approached suffering with the right mindset. Material wealth and its place. Although Marcus Aurelius was one of the wealthiest men in the Roman Empire, he was known for his temperate lifestyle and refusal to allow material wealth to dominate his life. In Meditations, Marcus frequently reflected on the transitory nature of wealth and the fleeting satisfaction that comes from material possessions. While he recognized the practical utility of wealth, he warned against allowing it to define one's happiness or sense of self-worth. Marcus Aurelius knew that wealth, luxury, and fame are impermanent. They come and go, often beyond our control, and placing our happiness in these external factors only leads to instability. He reminded himself that true fulfillment comes from within, from the cultivation of virtue, the pursuit of wisdom, and the practice of kindness. Possessions, in his view, are mere tools to be used for the greater good. The Stoic sage does not become attached to them, nor do they seek them out for their own sake. In a modern context, this message is particularly relevant. We live in a society that often places immense value on material success, where status and wealth are seen as markers of a person's worth. Yet, like Marcus Aurelius, we can find peace and fulfillment by focusing on what truly matters, living in accordance with our highest values, building character, and contributing to the well-being of others. Embracing mortality. Death, in Marcus Aurelius's view, was not something to fear but a natural part of life's process. He frequently reflected on the inevitability of death in meditations, reminding himself that it is a transition, just like birth or the changing of the seasons. For Marcus, death was not an enemy but a part of the grand cycle of nature. We should not fear it, for it is beyond our control, but instead live each day with purpose, knowing that our time on earth is finite. Fearing death, Marcus argued, is futile. It is natural, and it will come whether we wish for it or not. What matters is how we live in the meantime, whether we use our time wisely and live with virtue and integrity. By focusing on the present moment, on fulfilling our moral duties, and on living a life of virtue, we can face mortality with tranquility, knowing that we have done our best to live well. In modern life, where the fear of death often causes anxiety, Marcus's reflections offer a liberating perspective. Instead of being consumed by thoughts of death, we can choose to live fully, embracing the beauty and challenges of life with wisdom and courage. Stoicism, pleasure versus happiness. For the Stoics, there is a profound distinction between fleeting pleasures and enduring happiness. The pleasures that we seek, whether in food, luxury, fame, or sex, are momentary and provide only temporary satisfaction. True happiness, however, comes from living in accordance with reason and virtue. It is a state of being, a lasting sense of contentment that is independent of external circumstances. Marcus Aurelius teaches that happiness is not found in external rewards but in our ability to live virtuously, to be self-disciplined, and to strive for our highest potential. For the Stoic, happiness is not a passive feeling, but an active pursuit of wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. It is not about accumulating possessions or status, but about cultivating the virtues that enable us to live a meaningful, fulfilled life. A legacy of virtue. Marcus Aurelius's life and philosophy continue to resonate across centuries, offering timeless guidance for those who wish to live with integrity, wisdom, and purpose. His reflections remind us that true greatness comes not from external accomplishments but from inner virtue. By living in harmony with nature, by fulfilling our potential, and by serving others with kindness and compassion, we can live a life of meaning. The teachings of Marcus Aurelius provide a blueprint for navigating the complexities of modern life. His emphasis on moral clarity, self-discipline, and acceptance of adversity can help us rise above the distractions and challenges of our time. Through his example, we can find inspiration to live with integrity, face challenges with resilience, and pursue a life of virtue, not for external recognition, but because it is the right thing to do. In the end, Marcus Aurelius reminds us that life is brief, but by living according to our highest ideals, we can make it truly meaningful.